So this I want to say at the beginning, because when they actually use explanation about this Four Noble Truths, then of course you see I have to say, you see, the Buddhist way is best. I have to say. And also, you know, if you ask me what is best religion for you, for me, then my answer, without hesitation, Buddhism is best. But you see, that does not mean Buddhism is best for everyone. Certainly not. Clear. And also, because I think I would like to further emphasize, when I say the other religion have this great potential, this is not simply a polite, right? Out of the politeness or diplomatic way. No. I truly see, firstly, whether we like it or not, the entire humanity cannot be Buddhist. Clear, fact. And similarly, entire humanity cannot be a Christian or cannot be Muslim. Even Buddha's time, even India, Buddha's own country, entire Indian, did not turn into Buddhist. But genuine, you see, warm heart, loving kindness, some kind of very forceful living kindness in their mind. That I noticed. So then, you see, my conclusion is, these various different religions have the potential to produce this good heart. Irrespective of what philosophy, whether you see the philosophy of creator or some other things, that doesn't matter. For non-Buddhist, say about the idea of nirvana or next life, these seems to them nonsense. So similarly to Buddhist or creator, these things also sometimes looks nonsense. But doesn't matter, live it with these things. But in actual result, as a very negative person through various different religious traditions and transformed a nice person. That is the purpose. That's the result. So sufficient reason is to respect. Now I speak through my own language better. 당에는 유한다 낭치 모저를 지르잖아요. 다와도 저번이려 두그레스. 근데 다와 가르스로는 땡중 다와래. 아니 저바 가르스로는 처음에 저바레스는 미디셔리.
Whenever I have been given the opportunity to introduce Buddhism, I always make it a point to explain Buddhism in terms of two principles. One is development of a philosophical viewpoint based on the understanding of or appreciation of interdependent nature of reality. And then the second principle is the principle of non-violence, which is the actual action of a Buddhist practitioner and deriving from that view of interdependent nature of reality. So the meaning of non-harming or non-violent behavior or action or conduct is that if possible, one should help others, and if not, at least one should refrain from harming others. That is the essence of the principle of non-violence, non-violent action.
시간다 잠부시다 야쳐부시다 이내다 잠주 예배 젠데기 지금 미터메부터 가르슬라나 랜데기 미기주군 나는 고요하래 다디 샹 사미시거든 내가 미시.
So from a technical sort of to explain these principles in the technical Buddhist language, then you can appreciate that in terms of what in Buddhism is called as taking refuge in the three jewels, Triratna, and what is known as the generation of the altruistic mind or enhancement of one's good heart. As it is very evident that the idea of or the practice of generation of the mind entails committing oneself in an activities that are aimed primarily at helping others. And whereas the practice of taking refuge in the three jewels lays the foundation for the individual practitioner to live a way of life within an ethically disciplined lifestyle, which avoids engaging in actions that are harmful to others, thus by living according to the laws of karma or laws of causality.
So today in the simji nyamne yaojonglia gamdru nyamne mena simji nyamne yamare.
So therefore, unless the individual practitioner has a good foundational experience or practice of taking refuge in the three jewels, it is not possible to have a high level of realization of bodhicitta or generation of the altruistic mind.
Today in this ane ta gamdru seade ane nangba yin de meng samdi gamdru che.
Therefore, from the Buddhist point of view, the demarcation or the line that distinguishes between a practicing Buddhist and a practicing Buddhist and someone who is not a Buddhist is made on the basis of whether or not the individual has taken refuge in the three jewels.
Gamdru seade yinji mijig zane ji ta gamdru tamba lami saru ji gamdru shibin sini yinji di shu penjene ni ji nangba chagi waso tinde ke ka mare ko su sem na lo le o Buddha Dharma Sangha ongone rane da gebje resha sambaji sem na lo le ya ko be jeshi bu jungu tu na na cha re ya sem na lo ko ni na sem jungu na ba phi du ya re.
So when we talk about taking refuge in the three jewels, we should not have the notion that it involves a ceremony where you take the refuge from a master or something like that, and simply by participating in such a ceremony, you become a Buddhist. That's not the point. The point is, if even without a master, if you, as a result of your own reflection, become fully convinced in the validity of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha as the true ultimate object of refuge, and then entrust your spiritual well-being in these objects of refuge. And that's the point when you become a Buddhist. You have taken refuge in the three jewels. Whereas if even though you might have participated in a ceremony, but if there is any doubt in your apprehensions, in your mind about the validity of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha as being ultimate objects of refuge, that very suspicion or doubt sort of rules you out from being a practicing Buddhist. Therefore, for a practicing Buddhist, it is important to understand who these objects of refuge are, or what these objects of refuge are: the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha.
Buddha said, "Mijik chidawa chikanglia, but Shakyamuni Buddha, the Jalia good tam, any Zabaze, any Yangalan Dading, that the Kansa Chik Chanlia, quite memory, Buddha's live to talk away your nation money, that she.
So when we speak about Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and when we speak particularly about Buddha, we should not confine our understanding of the term Buddha only to the historical person who came to India, who taught a certain spiritual way of life and so on. Rather, our understanding of the concept of Buddhahood should be based on levels of consciousness or levels of spiritual realization. So it is a spiritual state of being that has to be understood. So therefore, we can, in Buddhist scriptures, we can speak about past Buddhas, Buddhas of the past, Buddhas of the present, and Buddhas of the future. So the question now is to try to develop an understanding how does a Buddha come into being? How does a fully enlightened being come into being?
다 부ddha 사지 용다 마용 시드 머시야디 최근조 탄다다 토버리 최근조 사지 요나 긴디군조 용구야리 긴디군조 사지 요나 다 방정 문주 방야지 용구 요나 방정 현지 사빈서 방야지 용구리 디용바이나 아니 다좀바 용구리 상계 용구리 저들 상인들 전에 다 자와 최근조 토요 최근조의 컨디션 다리 시고도.
So when we think about Buddhahood, certainly we will be reflecting upon the question of whether it is possible for an individual to attain such a state or not, or to become a fully enlightened being, to become a Buddha. So here we find that the key really lies in understanding the nature of Dharma. Because if Dharma exists, then certainly Sangha will exist. Sangha members who will have engaged in the path of the Dharma and have realized and actualized Dharma. And if the Sangha members exist, Sangha with the realization of Dharma exist, who have reached stages of levels of spiritual states where they have overcome at least gross levels of negativities and afflictive emotions. If that is possible, then we can envision the possibility of attaining total freedom from these negativities and afflictive emotional states. And that state is the Buddha. So we find here that the key really lies in understanding the nature of Dharma. So when we talk about the Dharma jewel, then here, of course, we are talking about the two dimensions or the two aspects of the Dharma. One is the path that leads to cessation, and one is the cessation itself, cessation of suffering and afflictive emotions. So when we are talking about Dharma here, I think one has to be able to make a distinction between the usage of Dharma as a kind of a generic term, which covers also the scriptural Dharma as well. And this is the generic term is the sublime Dharma, which refers to the Buddha's teaching as well. Whereas when sort of the Buddha's teaching and the realizations that are based on the practice of the scriptural Dharma. But whereas when we are talking about Dharma within the context of the three jewels, we are talking about the Dharma jewel here. Here, Dharma should be understood in terms of cessation, true cessation, or the paths that lead to that cessation. Because it is only on the basis of understanding the true cessation and the path leading to that cessation, then we can have some concept of arhatship or state of liberation.
Today in this ane, has it the tending doibe, tending the nalolia, any su tending the jung tonte, chetongs. Su chetonte, sangi dishinship tongs.
Therefore, in one of the sutras, the sutra known as the Pratita Samuppada Sutra, Buddha stated that whoever perceives the interdependent nature of reality, the dependent origination, the principle of dependent origination, sees the Dharma. And whoever sees the Dharma sees the Buddha, or the Tathagata.
The su tension jung tong te song te tension jung telaya any the deshe shuali deshe the shibekalia pajita zo and the ume luruya seg the shebe dawa dishishachin shuna has a quadeshuali.
So when we try to understand So when we try to understand this statement of the Buddha, the scripture, whereby he states that whoever perceives the interdependent nature of reality perceives the Dharma, and whoever perceives the Dharma perceives the Buddha.